in this economy, everyone could use some help saving a little bit of extra money, especially if it's kind of low effort. Hi, my name is Ellie. I'm a mom of two and under, and usually on my channel we talk about motherhood and parenting, but today we're going to be talking about ways to reduce your mental load with high yield savings accounts. We'll be talking about 8 different ones, and for each one we'll be discussing the rate, both that is advertised and then the rate that most people will get, and if there's a minimum deposit or balance that you have to have for either the rate or to open the account, any bonus offers for different things. Usually it involves a balance or something to incentivize you to open an account with them. And then we'll also be talking about any fees. Honestly, I can nix this whole thing because none of the ones on here have any fees. You're able to make your money work for you without investing. Investing can be so stressful, and the chances of you losing money can be so. High yield savings is kind of a good balance. Speaking of which, that's exactly what a high yield savings account is. It's a higher compounding interest. That's important, is that it's compounding and it's lower risk than an investment account. It's also insured by the FDIC, which is a federal insurance for up to $250,000. The credit unions also can have high yield savings accounts, and they're insured by the NCUA, which is a little bit different, but it's the same idea where they insure a certain amount of money, probably $250,000, like the FDIC does. So oftentimes they are online banks, and that means they have lower overhead, aka fewer expenses, because they don't have to pay for brick and mortar rent, electricity, water, employees that are like bank tellers and things. They don't have those expenses, and they pay it forward to their customers in an interest rate. Basically, how it works is, of course, you have to put money in it to be able to have your interest accrue, and it is calculated usually daily and paid out monthly for most of them. And from my research, the ones I'm going to be sharing with you, all of them do it this way. So some of the time there is a minimum balance to open an account. I know of at least one on this list that does, but if they don't have a minimum amount to open the account, a lot of times it's to receive that higher rate that was advertised and probably hooked you and dragged you in, but they don't tell you, oh no, you have to have a certain amount of thing except in the fine print. So we're gonna go through the fine print today. There's also sometimes a withdrawal limit, and usually it's $6 a month, and you can pay for more, but why would you when you're trying to save money? Sometimes it's also a dollar amount, but most of the time it's amount of withdrawals. If you know someone that is looking to reach a savings goal, you should definitely share this video with them. I believe that you could for sure use this as a great resource to figure out which account could be best for you, because it really does depend on what your goal is, and we'll go through that at the end for what would be best for what situations. So let's go ahead and dive on into the accounts now. We're going to start with the first one I had ever heard of, probably 4 years ago when I was doing a bookkeeping class. Ally is the first one, and the rate for that one is 3.3%. It was 4 when I opened it originally. All of them have an asterisk on their rate saying like, hey, this could change. This could change at any time. Ally is super simple with the rest of the stuff. There are 0 minimums for opening and for receiving the rate that is advertised. And there are no bonus offers that I'm aware of. Maybe if you refer somebody to it, you might get a little bit of a bonus. I do have a referral link because I do have an Ally account. I can't guarantee whether I will get anything from that or not, but I will say this is not the best rate, and the rate is matched for some of the other ones that are similar to this. In a miscellaneous category, which only the 2 that I have a miscellaneous category because I know them a little bit better, but for this one they have, actually, ironically, both of the accounts that I have the same exact thing. So I'll only mention it once. Sorry, my screen keeps turning off. These are my notes, by the way, because there's a lot of numbers and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to remember them all. So excuse me, this is going to be crazy trying to edit because I bet I will be looking down a lot. Plus I have a new screen thing over here that shows me what my phone is recording. So we're gonna get through this, I promise. But yeah, in the miscellaneous category for Ally and also for the other one that I have, and I'll mention which one that is when we get to it, but they do a roundup savings. This is similar to Acorns, if you've ever heard of them. They do something similar where they gather your round up to the dollar for your spending accounts. Let me back up. They track your spending accounts and round up for each transaction to the nearest dollar and save that until it's $5 or more, and then they transfer it to, in this case, a savings account. In Acorn's case, it's an investment account. It's lower risk though with a savings account, as I think I mentioned, I hope I mentioned, because holy cow, I am struggling here. It's supposed to help boost your savings. You're not going to miss 40 cents every transaction, and eventually it would grow into a good amount of money in your savings account. So it's supposed to be like a helpful thing. They also have, with Ally, they call them buckets, and it's kind of like savings envelopes. So you can have different savings goals in the same account and they all earn the same interest rate. So that makes it really nice to be able to split things up and to save for more than one thing at once. For instance, for us, we had it in Ally for a little while. We ended up putting it in a different one later. But my husband, he had student loans and we put them in there so they could earn the interest we would have to pay. They also earned that interest in a high yield savings account. It's super easy, super convenient because we didn't actually need the money yet. We would need it in the future for his medical school. So the next one we're going to talk about is, and this one I hadn't heard of until I did research. So excuse me if I pronounce it wrong, but I have Varo money. And this one will have the award for highest rate. And it is a 5% rate for up to $5,000. But speaking of minimums, you need at or above $1,000 in direct deposit each month. And most people have that with their paycheck, like their regular paycheck. Most people earn more than $1,000 in a month. But if you don't, this might not be the best one for you because you won't have that 5%. You would have a 2.5%, which is still way better than regular savings accounts. So it's up to you. And then the 2.5% also applies to over $5,000 that's in the account. So you only earn the 5% for the first $5,000. Oh, the other thing for earning the 5% is you have to have a positive balance on your account by the end of the month. I didn't see any bonus offers and there are no fees like I mentioned before. Okay. Next one we're going to talk about is Barclays, and their rate is 4% for an absurd amount of money. You have to have a certain amount of money in their account to be able to do that. The minimum to receive that 4% is $250,000. Yeah, most of us are not going to have that unless we just sold a house. Everyone else gets 3.85%, which is fine. Actually, that is the best rate that I will be sharing outside of that 5% that I just mentioned, but you only earn that 5% for up to $5,000. So Barclays would probably be better than, what is this called? Varo money. So they do have bonus offers, but this is like a really big money. So I will breeze through them as fast as I possibly can because most of us are not going to be achieving this if we're just starting out. If you have been saving for a long time and you're just looking to kind of get that extra oomph, some of these might be better for you, but for those of us just starting out on saving and using savings accounts, this one and the next one I'm going to mention may not be the best, but we'll go over it. Anyway, the bonus offers is kind of crazy, so I'm gonna hold up my notes so that I don't read it wrong. For the bonus offers, you would receive $200 after you have $30,000 in deposits and keep it for 120 days or 6 months. So if you just sold a house, put it in, and for some reason are not paying rent, that would be when this could be a good bank account for you, is kind of what this is looking like. And there are 0 fees as per usual for these ones. The next one we're going to talk about is CIT Bank. I've heard it pronounced Cite Bank, Citibank, but there is actually a Citibank spelled C-I-T-I, and this one is not that. The higher rate is 3.75%, the lower rate is 0.25%, which, to put in perspective, most savings accounts have less than 0.05% interest earning, and they're earning like quarterly. It's not daily paid out every month like high yield savings accounts are. And this one's another one that's kind of crazy, so I will be, making sure that this is correct. The minimum, you have to have $100 to open the account, and then you have to have $5,000 to receive that 3.75 APY rate. There is a bonus offer, but the code makes me think it was a bonus offer for last year, but this is new research that I did just last night, so I'll share it, and if it doesn't work, I apologize. But their bonus offer is with a code PS2025 for Platinum Savings 2025. When you open a new account or enroll an account you already have, and within 30 days, you have to have $25,000 of new deposits to earn $225 and $50,000 to earn a bonus of $300. Again, no fees, and again, big money we're talking about, so unless you're earning a whole lot, this might not make a whole lot of sense, but if you have more than $5,000 in your account, it could be worth it because this is pretty good. Anyway, you just wouldn't earn the bonuses or the bonus offers. I do follow a couple different people that talk about family budgets and things like that, and they love Citibank or CIT Bank, so I guess take it with a grain of salt. I always thought they were a little bit better than this. Personally, it's a higher rate if you have more than $5,000, but I'm not seeing a great amount with this. Let's take a break now that we're gonna get into some of the ones that are a little more doable for someone who is just starting. Anyway, drop your savings goals down in the comments. I'll go ahead and start. For us, we are finishing fully funding our 6-month emergency fund in case something happens. And then after that, we would be looking to get a second car for our family and saving for the down payment for that. And of course, medical school for my husband. And then of course, a house down payment eventually. Who knows how long these things will take. But we're just gonna chug along, and high yield savings accounts will help us to achieve those goals. All right, back into the accounts. We're gonna go over Amex next. And Amex has a pretty typical rate of 3.3%. No minimums, no bonus offers, and no fees. Capital One, their rate is also 3.3%, no minimums, no bonus offers, and no fees. Again, these are common ones that you've heard of. I've definitely seen a ton of different advertisements for that. Next, we're gonna talk about Synchrony, which I hadn't heard of until I started researching, and Synchrony is actually in a few different lists that I looked at, and their rate is 3.65%, so a little bit better. Again, no minimums, no bonus offers, and no fees. Synchrony also has another option for high yield savings type of thing that we'll mention in just a minute for a specific subset of person. Okay, this last one I will mention is Sofi. I have a Sofi account. My husband thought that it was the best one, and sure enough, out of the 4 lists that I looked at to kind of parse through which ones I should include on my list, Sofi was number 1 on 3 of the lists. And there's a reason for that. It is pretty accessible, and we'll go over why. So the rate that they advertise is 4%, but you need $5,000 of qualifying deposits in checking and savings for the whole month, and it needs to be regularly occurring. So it has to be from a paycheck, from government assistance like Social Security, from investment stuff. I can't remember all the different things that qualify deposits, but anything that is fluctuating would not count toward this $5,000 of regular stuff to get that 4% rate. Everyone else gets a 3.3%. They're pretty on par with some of the rest of these that we've talked about. To get the 4% rate, you also might have to pay a subscription fee, which makes 0 sense to me. I don't know why they would do that, but it is what it is. But you don't have a minimum to open the account. So they do have a couple of bonus offers as well. If you deposit $1,000 in the account, you get $50 in bonuses, and $5,000 is $300 in bonuses, and it has to be eligible direct deposits. Sorry, there's a little bit here that I need to like read so I don't get it wrong for you guys, but it has to be a recurring bank transfer deposit of regular income, like I mentioned before. So again, fees is non-existent, there are no fees. And then miscellaneous, because I do have this one, instead of buckets like Ally does, they do vaults, but they do the same thing, and they also do the roundup savings to boost your savings. Make sure you hype this video up if you're on mobile, because I really do think that this would be a great resource for people. All right, now we're gonna go over what would be best for different kinds of people. And before we do that, we're gonna talk about a different kind of account, but it's in a similar vein, and this will be an honorable mention. These are CD accounts, which is certificate of deposit. These accounts, it means you can't take your deposit out before your term is up, the term that you sign up for, without paying a fee or penalty. And you usually can't add to the deposit either, and you're locked into your rate. So with high yield savings accounts, it is possible that you can have a fluctuating rate throughout the year. With CD accounts, there's no fluctuating rate, but you could miss out on a higher rate, but it could be a good thing if the rates go down for whatever reason. Some of the ones that I mentioned have accounts like this. I'll just mention them really fast. Synchrony has a 4% with a 14-month term. Amex has also 4% at 14 months. Capital One has a 3.9% for a 1-year term. So these kinds of accounts would be good if you're having trouble not pulling from your savings, but you know you won't need that money, like truly need that money until your term is up. And then as far as awards would go for other things, obviously the highest rate would be the Varo money account, but again, it's only for the first $5,000, and then you're at a lower than normal rate. So, or lower than some of the other ones that I've mentioned. So by virtue of that fact, I think Barclays deserves this award because their like normal person rate, not $250,000 in the account rate, is the highest that I have seen for that. So if you are used to saving, the ones that I would go with would probably be Barclays or CIT Bank. But if you're just starting out, probably I would lean more toward probably Synchrony, because it's the highest rate that I have seen outside of those other ones. But any of the others are still better than nothing. Even CIT Bank could be good as long as you have $5,000 to start with. So maybe open one of these other ones and earn a higher rate than 0.25% and then transfer it over once you have $5,000. I don't know. You could definitely open more than one and transfer things around, but that's only if you really want to play the system. And I don't know how many people would really want to do that, in all honesty. So if you're really just starting saving, probably Amex or Capital One, because people have heard of them, or like me, Ally or Sofi. Sofi is definitely one of the most popular ones that people have typically gone toward. All right, if you found this video helpful and you enjoyed it, you might like this one. It is my family's January budget. I do mention high yield savings accounts in it. Or you could watch this playlist that is about starting off the year right, basically. All of this releasing or relieving mental load. That is where all of my tips for that are. So I will see you in one of these. Bye.